That's why I got a question for you. What color is Jesus Christ? Was Jesus black or white?
I would say he was black.
Okay, Carl Banks. Question for you. What color is Jesus Christ?
Tan.
Okay, Big Rule. What color is Jesus Christ?
I don't know.
Okay.
He's the same color.
Here's the reason why I'm bringing it up, and I brought it up very abruptly to kind of shock the hell out of you, SY, and the crew and the listeners, because Megyn Kelly of Fox News basically made herself the center of a racial controversy recently by declaring that Jesus Christ, as well as Santa Claus, are both white. Wednesday night on her show, she was responding to an article written by Slate writer Aisha Harris, who wrote an article entitled "Santa Claus Should Not Be a White Man Anymore." Of course, Megyn Kelly, the popular news host of The Kelly File on her Fox News channel program, said, quote, "When I saw this headline, I kind of laughed and said, oh, this is ridiculous. Yet another person claiming it's racist to have a white Santa. And by the way, for all you kids watching at home, Santa is just white. But this person is maybe just arguing that we should have a black Santa. But you know, Santa is what he is, and just so you know, we're just debating this because someone wrote it about it." And she continues by further claiming that Jesus Christ also was Caucasian. I wanted to bring this up because one, there's been a lot of talk about this on the news media. And I'm going to have an interesting take on this, but I want to hear what you guys think on this one. First, Big Rube, I want you first. And I asked the question, is Jesus white? Not because I really cared about what the answer was. I just wanted to kind of throw it out there in a kind of laughable way, because Megyn Kelly has not apologized for her statements, and I'm not sure if I think she needs to apologize. If that's how she feels, that's how she feels. But she did say that she said those things in jest, which I think is a cop-out. If you say it, then you say it. Don't say that it was in jest, you know, because that's where she lost me. When she said it, I was like, word, that's how you feel. But when she said it was in jest, that to me is her responding to the backlash. Mm-hmm. And I could care less about backlash. I'm going to say what I'm going to say, and we can talk about it. Big Roo, what's your thoughts?
Megyn Kelly said it, so I could care less. I'm not a fan of that news brand. Anything they say it either makes me shut down or get mad. And here I'm going to choose to shut down because, to be perfectly honest with you, I really don't care what Megyn Kelly says, because she's terrible. I mean, there's no other reason for me to even talk about it anymore, because she said it. So it's whatever.
Colin Banks, what's your thoughts?
You know me, I always say somebody's entitled to their opinion, and, you know, be it right, wrong, or indifferent, she can say what she wants to say. However, historically, holistically, in the Bible and all that, if he's white, nah, can't happen.
That's why. What's your thoughts?
I personally don't care what she says either. I mean, I don't really even watch the news that much to get into stuff like this, but I really just don't care.
Here's why I brought it up. People, and you know, I had a blog about this a couple of days ago. We had a good discussion, good fair discussion. People are going to view deity the way they view themselves. And so if you're a white person, you want to see the person that you pray to looks like you. Mm-hmm. And so if you're looking at it in a religious perspective, then it makes sense that you would view Jesus Christ, the deity, the way you view yourself. So if you white, then yeah, you're gonna view him as, you know, the hippie dude that you see in the pictures. It's a hippie. Come on now, Jesus Christ with long hair. He looks like Shaggy from Scooby Doo. Come on, for real. But if you want to speak about it historically, and we know that that region of North Africa and Asian that he was known to be from, we know that there were not Caucasian people there. There's three types of people in the world. There's the Caucasoid, there's the Mongoloid, and then there's the Negroid, right? Mm-hmm. Now, that part of the world is not Caucasoid. It's just not. That part of the world is Negroid. And so if we're looking at it historically, you crazy as hell if you think Jesus was white. But, you know, I respect her right to her opinion, but I thought that it was interesting to bring up because we as black people, I was raised a Christian, although I no longer, you know, view myself as one, but I was raised with the hippie dude. That's the way I was raised. And so what are we teaching our children? Are we teaching our children to pray to what was once our oppressors and who some believe are still our oppressors? Is that what we're doing? And so when you see someone that looks like our oppressors on television that says, Jesus looks like me and not like you, this is the reason why I wanted to bring it up. For me, everything comes back to a social issue, and everything comes back to a brainwashing issue. As far as Santa Claus, I mean, that dude don't even exist, so that ain't even worth.
You can have that.
Yeah,
one.
you can have Santa Claus. Ain't no have Steppin, Marcus J. Big Rube. Did you ever see interpreter that had been charged with murder and all kinds of crimes here in the United States stand next to a mayor, let alone a president?
Nah,
never seen it in your life.
It doesn't shock me, but no.
And that same dude, of course, we're talking about the interpreter who was for the Nelson Mandela Memorial last week. We have since found out, because you had some people, let me back up. You had some people that was like, hold on, wait a minute. That sign language stuff he doing, that don't jive with what real sign language is. And so it comes out that he was a fake. Not only was he a fake, but apparently he has admitted that he has been suffering from schizophrenia. And then it also came out that not only was he a criminal, but he had in the past been charged and convicted of various offenses and potentially murder. So my question is, Ruben, I'm going to start with you. You had all these countries that were represented at that funeral. At least, I don't know, 15, 20, probably more than that, 50, 60, who knows how many countries. None of those people vetted the people who would be standing next to their heads of state. You mean to tell me that we had to find out about this after he was standing on the dossier with all of these people? What the hell, man?
I mean, I guess the question comes down to who vetted anybody. Who was in charge of vetting people? That's the person I would go to, and that's the first person I would fire. Because if you didn't know, first of all, this dude was fake, and then second of all, he killed some people, then that sounds like your job. Mm-hmm. Because, he could have just shivved somebody up there. And what's somebody going to do? Shoot him? Oh, it's too late. It's done. I mean, yeah, somebody's job's got to be gone. I'm sorry.
You're standing too close to the hottie.
Ain't no half stepping with Marcus. Yeah, I want to keep this moving because I got the next 3 stories that I want to get into. I want to kind of spend a little bit of time before we wrap up, with the rest of the show here. I want to talk about a couple of cases of sexual harassment. Yahoo News has a story about a school in Colorado that is dropping the charges against a 6-year-old boy for kissing the hand of a little girl in a school. The superintendent of Kansas City Schools decided to drop that case Wednesday after meeting with the parents of Hunter Yelton. On December 4th, the incident occurred and has now been classified as misconduct. Yelton's mother said her son had an innocent crush on the girl and kissed her on the hand during reading group. But the girl's mother said that Hunter had tried to kiss her, quote, over and over without permission, and that she supported the suspension. Quote, not once, but over and over, not with her permission, but sneaking up on her. I've had to coach her about what to do when you don't want someone touching you, but they won't stop. The little boy Hunter had already received an in-school suspension for kissing the same girl. Carlton, I want you in on this one first. He had been suspended from school, and now they have since decided to not go forward with the sexual harassment claim. And now I'm showing the crew a picture of young Hunter. Carlton, what's your thoughts on this one? You have a son that's just a little bit older than him. I've got a daughter that's just a little bit older than them. I have my opinions on this. I want the crew's opinion. That's why you've got some children, some girls. Big Rube, we know you got nieces and nephews. I'm interested to hear what everybody has to say about this one. Let's go around this. Let's do this one real quick so we can move on to the last stuff.
I'll admit my son has already tried to kiss a young girl. Another young girl called him out. I think she was mad because he ain't tried to kiss her. But, hey, that's another story. If the boy had already been warned once, then at some point you have to give him consequences, and they've given him consequences. He suffered those consequences. I think sexual harassment is over the top because at that age, you really don't know what sexual harassment is. You don't know what sex is, much less sexual harassment, I would think.
Well,
he deserves some form of punishment, but I really think this one is a little bit over the top.
That's why.
I think it is a little over the top, but I think that this needs to go back to his parents, because he's seeing it and he's thinking it's okay. He's seeing it. So this goes back to the parents. If the little girl's mother has already spoken to the school, they've already given the little boy, some little disciplinary action. He ain't getting it. This goes back to the parents.
Big Rope.
Really, this is in the news. Of all the stuff that's in the news, this 6-year-old boy gets suspended for sexual harassment. I mean, I get it. I understand the parents' thought process. But I guess, first of all, if the girl said no numerous times and she didn't ask for a teacher, my assumption is either a teacher would have heard it or she would have asked for a teacher. Tell him to leave me alone. So that's one thing. Number two, suspend the boy for sexual harassment. The sexual harassment part is a little pushing it. Now, he said, I suspended him because of indirect conflict with a student. This is not news. Sexual harassment makes it news.
I look at this, man, and I bug out because I'm like, 6-year-old boy.
Yeah, it's stupid.
He's 6 years old. He has no idea what sexual harassment is. Now, that's why I want to speak to something that you said. You said you want to go back to the parents. If you have a child that lives in a loving home with a loving mother and a loving father, it's a good bet that he's going to see the mother and the father show affection towards each other. And that affection may include hugging, kissing, and hopefully nothing more than that. Mm-hmm. But that, I would guess, is somewhat innocent and likely for a child to see. And what do little boys do? They emulate their fathers. What do little girls do? They emulate their mothers. I'm not justifying the fact that this little boy might have wanted to go to school and kiss the little girl. Right. But what I'm saying is, I think that it's a bit much when we want to drop sexual harassment charges on a 6-year-old when we already live in a country where we criminalize our youth. We criminalize them. I guess there's some sort of counseling that could potentially happen here. Maybe you have some sort of mediation between the parents where you have a discussion where you make it very clear to young Hunter that this isn't appropriate. Right. But you're going to drop sexual harassment charges on a 6-year-old. That's just crazy as hell to me. And it's also crazy as hell to me, and I guess I tip my hand on the next story. You got a high school student called, and I want you on this one first, high school student who gets suspended for hugging his teacher. And this is him. He gets suspended for hugging his teacher. Not only is he going to lose a scholarship, but he's not going to graduate on time. He hugged his teacher. He's in Georgia, young black boy, hugged his teacher, 17 years old, Sam McNair, Duluth High School. He was found guilty of violating the school sexual harassment rules. The hug was captured on a video by surveillance camera. The teacher reported him, claiming that his lips and cheek, quote, touched the back of her neck. McNair, however, flatly denies that anything other than a normal hug was given, saying that, quote, something so innocent can be perceived as something totally opposite. The video, of course, makes it clear the teacher didn't appreciate the hug as she appears to push the student away. The local news reported the teacher claims that she warned him that hugs were inappropriate. Neil says that is not true, and he never hugged her before. If he had a problem with hugging people against their will, his mother said, why wasn't she notified? Quote, he's a senior, he plays football, he's getting ready for lacrosse, and you're stripping him of even getting a full scholarship for athletics for college. He says, that was his mother, he says, quote, I have 5 months left in my senior year. I don't see why they would take that away from me. Carlton, I want you on in this one first. What's your thoughts on that story?
Give me 1 second. I want to read something first.
Okay, Big Rube, take over. What's your thoughts on this one?
Really? So he hugged somebody who didn't want to be hugged. And she's like, sexual harassment. Are you kidding me? I mean, it's not like he grabbed her butt or something, or he tried to tongue her down or anything like that, which the footage clearly proves he did nothing. So basically, because you didn't want to be hugged, you're going to take this kid's life away. And he's probably 18, which goes on his record as an adult, which means he becomes a person of
Sexual offender.
Are you kidding me right now? Yo, I think sometime between 1995 and 2005, this whole sexual harassment thing kind of warped out a little bit. And now it went from
Anita Hill. It was because of Anita Hill and Clarence Thomas. That's what it was.
Yeah. And it's just like, it went from, basically, being assaulted sexually to touching somebody on the shoulder. Oh, you sexually harassed me. Or, I didn't like that you hugged that person, so you're sexually harassed. What? Yo, I understand. I understand what sexual harassment is. I think the problem is that people are pushing it a little too far to the letter of the law. And there's sometimes where people need to make a decision and say, look, he just hugged you. You pushed him away. He ain't give you nothing. You ain't get no cooties. Let it go. And then go turn around and say, nah, he didn't really do that. So first of all, you probably filed a police report. You lied on your police report. So where's the comeback of, yeah, you filed a false police report? Where is that?
That's why. What's your thoughts on the story?
Yeah, I think it's way out of hand. I think that this didn't have to happen. She didn't like the hugs. Maybe she didn't like the child that gave her a hug, or the color of the child that gave her a hug, and this was his punishment. I don't know where the heck this is coming from, but it wasn't necessary. It's definitely way over the top.
Colin Banks, you ready to comment, man?
Well, I've seen the video and I've read a little bit of the article. From some of the claims, I perceive that he may have touched her inappropriately based off of a certain movement that I saw. So again, if you saw the video, you see her reaction to it. She did not feel appropriate, and therefore it looks like it is deemed necessary. I hate to say it.
I watched the video myself, and I disagree with that. Clearly, of course, yeah, we agreed before, and that's great, but disagree now. She was not happy with the hug. There's no question that she was not happy. She was not happy with the hug, but when you also can see that he's exuberant, he's not sexual. He's exuberant. He's excited, and he hugs the teacher. He's like, yeah, he hugs the teacher, and I understand that she's not happy about it, but to strip this 17, 18-year-old boy away from the future that he had lined up. This is what I'm talking about criminalizing, because all of this stuff is a cycle. All of this stuff is a cycle. When you're talking about, okay, he had a scholarship where he was going to school. Now he doesn't get the scholarship. Maybe he can't afford school. Because he can't afford school, maybe he has to work. Because he can't work, he can't make the money that he might have been making before. Because he couldn't make the money that he would have been making before, now maybe he ends up below the poverty line. Because he's below the poverty line, maybe certain situations comes up where he finds himself on the wrong side of the law. Like, all of these things become possibilities. And when we talked last week about private prisons and things of that sort, when you talk about how this stuff is not an accident, when they try to criminalize people and they try to hang these scarlet letters of cases on people, it just sometimes I wonder, where is the common sense? You don't want to put a 6-year-old on sexual harassment charges, and you want to say that a high school student who got excited and hugged his teacher unnecessarily and inappropriately, maybe inappropriate in the sense that she didn't want him to, but you're gonna completely destroy this boy's future.
Yeah,
for that just seems a bit much, Ruben.
And didn't she come back and say that he didn't do it later on?
I didn't see that part. I didn't see that part.
And I'm looking at the video. His head movement looks like he may have touched her.
Okay, well,
but really,
his head moved from two different positions. From the first position,
but I don't think that even if he hugged her, she's standing to the side. She's standing sideways, and he hugged her like this. Even if his face or his mouth or whatever touched the back of her neck or whatever, I still don't think that there's cause for her to go and have his scholarship taken away. Yeah. It's not sexual harassment.
Is she taking his scholarship away, or is the court taking it?
Well, she knows what would happen if she went and said, this happened, he shouldn't have did it, I didn't like it.
Okay, so
we going to court.
wait a minute now. Hold on. You're saying she's not taking anything away. She came up and said he touched me inappropriately.
He gave her he
gave her a hug. He seemed to have given her a hug, right?
Look, the boy gave her a hug.
Exactly.
That is it. So if his face touched her neck, or his mouth side of his face, or part of his lip touched her neck, he wasn't kissing her. If he meant to kiss her neck, his face would have turned into her neck. I see what you're seeing, and you do have to look at it. I don't think that was cause for her taking. She took away. That's
she didn't take.
Well, hold on. Ground level.
The consequences.
Ground level. Carlton Banks.
So he knows the consequences of hugging somebody.
He just gave her a hug.
Okay, but his head went in two different
So when you
directions.
get excited, you don't always think about things like that.
Well, here it is. Carlton Banks.
Okay.
Is what you saw worth him being labeled as a sexual predator?
I didn't say he was a sexual predator. I said sexual harassment.
Well, no, but that's what happens.
That's not sexual predator.
That's what happens.
That's what happens when you if you get charged with sexual harassment, you go on a list, and you're considered to be a sexual predator.
And they don't look at what you got on that list for. Once
Okay.
you get on the list, you're on the list.
And that's my question to you.
Again, did you see the video?
I did not. It doesn't matter.
No, are you
See,
saying
this is
yeah?
the whole thing.
I saw
this
the
is the whole
video.
thing. You had you can't form an opinion if
I saw
you
the
don't
video.
see
Yeah,
the
but
facts.
I saw the video.
But I'm asking.
Did you see his head moving two different
But I'm
directions?
asking your opinion.
I don't think what I saw in that video was enough to label this boy as a
and
sexual
that's my
predator.
question to you: is what you saw worth labeling him a sexual predator
And killing the
yes,
boy.
yes or no?
Yes, I'm gonna answer yes. Don't sit there and try to badger me to get an answer. I've already told you my opinion.
You
so
did
first of
badger.
all, I did.
So you're okay.
I've already
so,
said
all right,
yes.
So let me simplify it. So you're okay with what you saw in that video costing this boy his college scholarship and potentially his future. What you saw in
The
that
article
video.
reads
What you saw.
that
No,
she's-
forget that.
Hold on. You're not giving all the facts.
I don't care about that.
Yes, you do.
No.
It's just by
You're not
looking at
doing
the
this.
video.
It's about facts.
It's just by looking at the
why.
video.
Here's why. Because I ain't got time for all of that. Because I'm watching the clock and I ain't got time for that. I'm asking you a simple question. What you saw in that video is enough for you to say that this boy deserves to lose not only his college scholarship but potentially his future. You saw enough in that video that tells you that's okay?
I saw enough in that video to say he touched her and she did not like it.
That answers the
If
question.
if that's a result of him losing that, then yes.
Okay, fair enough. Ain't no ass Steppin and Marcus J. We're obviously going to disagree. Last thing I want to get into, I want to actually, let's go back to Carlton Banks on this one. Let's get you to define the word affluenza. Affluenza. Affluenza is a new word. Actually, it's not very new. It's about 10 or 15 years old. But the first time that many of us have heard the word affluenza is during the story of the what they're calling spoiled Texas teen, Ethan Kraut, 16 years old. He was facing 20 years in prison because he was drunk driving by admission, and he was in an auto accident that killed 4 people. 4 people died. And the judge in this case decided, instead of giving him the 20 years that he was facing, gave him 10 years probation and allowed him to go to rehab, alcohol rehab, $500,000 a year rehab. State District Judge Gene Boyd is the name of that judge. And the defense team used the phrase affluenza. Affluenza is defined as a child that is so rich that they've been shielded from the normal right and wrong that everybody else has been learned. And so because they haven't learned right and wrong from anybody else, because they've been able to do whatever it is that they want to do, they can be sometimes allowed to get away with a little more than the average person. And so I don't know if you've seen this story at all, but for me, I don't need to hear affluenza. I don't need to hear none of that. All I need to hear is rich kid, 16 years old, drunk driving, and 4 people die, facing 20 years, and he don't go to jail. I don't need to hear no more. That's just me personally, but I want to know what you think.
The crutch of the matter is this. The judge that sentenced him gave a 14-year-old black kid prison time for punching a kid to death.
Yep.
That's where the crutch of this comes into.
Well, it doesn't. They're two separate stories, and you know me well enough to know that I know about that case.
Okay.
And I was going to bring up that case.
All right.
But I don't want to bring it up yet. I want to talk about this one first.
But the only reason we're hearing about that is because
that's not true.
I think it is.
It's not,
because they're bringing in race.
Okay,
they're bringing in race to the back door.
That black boy, the 14-year-old poor black boy who went to jail for the rest of his life because he punched out a kid and that kid died. That kid went to jail, and the same judge sent him to jail.
Right.
But that story didn't come out until
you let me tie the two together.
That story didn't. No, because I didn't want to bring this up. I didn't want to bring this up. Okay, you bring it up.
No, you didn't want to bring it up.
I didn't want to bring it up simply because with me, yeah, race is involved, but I didn't want to talk about that. I wanted to talk about this case. I wanted to talk about the rich kid who ain't going to jail.
You do realize you initially asked me to define it, and I was trying to get into that.
Okay, all right. Well,
I was trying to get into that.
I talk too much. I'm gonna stop. Go ahead.
Okay.
I quit, y'all.
Okay, we take your 2 weeks notice. All right. The judge. Promise or threat. The judge is being looked at because of the simple fact the white kid has the money, the black kid didn't have the money. Black kid kills 1, white kills kids 4. The white kid gets to go to some posh rehabilitation services because his defense team said he needed counseling. His parents are going to be footing the bill, from what I read, and that where is the justice in this? Particularly for the family involved with the people who lost the 4 kids, lost the family members. There is a big problem when you see money can buy you a court case. This isn't the first time money has, quote unquote, bought you a court case, or it's not going to be the last time money can buy you a court case. If we saw it on Scandal. I mean, knowing the right people can get you free. Heck, Arrow. Knowing the right people can get you free. Certain things in life comes with a status.
You're not answering the question. What I want to know is the fact that this boy, and since you brought up the black kid, tie them together.
The black kid was the drawback of not having any money. He had probably a public defender, or just above a public defender.
But the case of the black kid only came up publicly because of the outrage of the white kid, and that's
right. And that's
no. You're not hearing me. The news of the white kid that hit the national news media immediately when it happened. As soon as it happened last week, and the news of the black kid didn't come out till days later. And so people were already outraged. White people, black people, everybody.
I read them together.
Well, because you were late. You just happened to be late, and that's okay. But I'm telling you that this news because I saw the families of these people who died, who are on TV outraged, and this is a situation where, we can make it a race issue, and with me, usually it is, but when you're looking at, forget that for a second. Have you ever seen a 16-year-old boy who's drunk driving and gets a DUI and not go to jail? Forget about the fact that he killed 4 people. The black kid, that's another story, for another day. We can tie them together another time. Same judge. I want to know how, Ruben, help me out here. How do you have affluenza? What the hell is that?
That is some news. That's some newish. I mean, my thing is, when I saw the article on Yahoo, I was like, hold on. This kid, drunk driving, killed 4 people, and he doesn't spend a day in jail. I know people who just got caught drunk driving, and they went to jail for at least 48 hours. I mean, and they had to get breathalyzers in their car and all this other stuff to start their car. So, and this kid basically walks away with a slap on the hand after he killed 4 people. I don't even care. My thing is, it's not even about race to me. It's about how in the hell does that happen? I mean, really, you can say what you want, Banks, but it's not even about race. It's about how does this dude walk away from killing 4 people drunk, and all he gets is what, counseling?
Bullshit. That's what it is.
I mean, it's not even BS. It's like This is what the hell. This is crazy.
We talked about last
I can't even
week.
understand that.
What about the story we did last week? And I don't want to bring it up too much, but to contrast it, where the boy in 1994, white boy by the way, who sold 5 ounces of drugs in the mail and got life in prison.
I mean, I don't. My agreement upon that is different, but that's at least he went to jail.
That's the point I'm making. That's the point I'm making. We don't have to sit here and debate how much time you got and all that kind of stuff. We debated Zimmerman versus Marissa Alexander. We ain't debating. We don't need to debate all of that kind of stuff. I think that we all can rationally agree that if you're a 16-year-old boy and you get drunk and you get in a car, that's enough to put you in jail. That's even before you kill anybody. Then you kill not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 people, and you injure more? Come on, man. How does that happen? Affluenza? Because you too rich to know right from wrong? What the hell, yo? For real. And I understand, Carlton, why you bring up the black kid, but to me, it's not even... They're not even really connected in any way other than the fact that you got the same judge. You got the same judge, and you can connect them, and you can make an issue out of her having some sort of issue. But that's not even where I wanted to go. I didn't even really want to go there. I want to go to the fact that you got a boy who was drunk and he killed.
Members,
say again?
maybe for one of her family members that died, she would have had a different opinion.
This is where we talk about how there is no freaking common sense. Like all of this law and order shit that y'all like to talk about sometimes. Sometimes you, Ruben, and usually you, Colton, y'all frustrate me sometimes because we can do this law and order thing and we can talk about it's the law, so be it, and all that kind of stuff, but there is no, lineage to it, and sometimes there's no freaking common sense to it at all. You can tell me that a 24-year-old man could go to jail for the rest of his life for selling 5 grams of LSD in the mail, but you can tell me that a 16-year-old boy could kill 4 people drunk and not go to jail? How does that happen? And don't give me this law and order. If you do the crime, you do the time stuff. That's not right. It's not right, man.
Not at all.
It's not right. And that just annoys the hell out of me. And sometimes when I'm poised with, well, it's the law, you got to follow the law. If the law is not fair and it doesn't line up, then we got to talk about it.
The problem is that the law is unfortunately based on people's opinions. You have a judge or you have a jury, and literally it's their opinion on how they feel. My thing is, and I'm the big proponent of it. Look, the law says this. If you break the law, this is what happens to you. To me, now, if you want to adjust time, fine. You can adjust time. But if you sell 5 grams of LSD through the mail, you are looking at least 3 to 24 years. That's what just saying. That's what the law says. And at that point in time, people can, then make if you want to make an example of somebody, or this is the first time, whatever. Now, my thing is, I have an issue when the law is completely just thrown out the water. Like in this case, there's no law here. This law is completely, we're going to give you $5 million community service, and we're going to let you go and get some counseling. You killed 4 people. And an ordinary person who just goes driving and doesn't kill anybody goes to jail for at least 30 days. At least 30 days. But
this is where we disagree with regards to the law. Because, the law, and I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know if the time that you gave is accurate on that. I know you pulled it out of the air, and that's fine. It's fair enough. But there are many nonviolent felons that are going to be in prison for a long time. And we're paying for these people to be in prison. My issue is the sentencing guideline. That's what my issue is. Because the sentencing guidelines are oftentimes written to be directly affecting the people who may be the ones potentially guilty of the crimes, i.e. crack rock, black people, powder cocaine, white people. And I'm just using that as an example.
That's fine.
And so when we know that,
yes,
intellectually, when we know that, then how do we justify and rationalize this law and order stance that we sometimes take?
Well, I mean, as far as me, my law and order stance, as you like to call it, I feel like I'm fair to everybody, because if the law says you go to jail, you need to go to jail.
Right, but sometimes the law is not fair, though. That's the thing.
Well, I understand that. Like this DUI, the DUI law states that he must go to jail for a significant period of time. The fact that he does not is complete disregard of the law, and that's my issue. My issue is that, because I'm not sitting here saying, well, his lawyer could have just brought him off. No, if you get a DUI, let's just take the state of Virginia. You get a DUI in Virginia, you go to jail for 30 days at the very least. The fact that this dude's serving absolutely zero time in jail makes me upset when I know the law states that you must go to jail. Whether he goes for 30 days or 30 years, he must go to jail. And the fact that he does not go to jail is what makes me mad, because I know the law states you must go to jail. You can't get out of a DUI. And then, let's be honest, you kill 4 people, at the very least, that's 4 misdemeanors, which is like 3 years apiece.
Misdemeanors?
Vehicular homicide, my guess is
a felony misdemeanor.
Is a low level.
Yeah, it's not
low level felony, high level misdemeanor. I'm with you. I'm with you.
So if you get one of those, there's no I ain't going to jail. You're going to jail.
So in your math, if we to use your math, there's 12 years at least for the deaths, and at least 30 days.
Well, I mean,
and I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
But the fact is, he's not going to jail, and that's my problem. My problem is he's not going to jail. I can't sit here and, I feel bad for the people that died, but I'm not the judge nor the jury at that point in time, so I can't sit here and say, yeah, he needs to go to jail for 12 years for each one. That's not my deal. My deal is
he's not going at all.
The law says you must go to jail, and then you must be tried for these vehicular homicides. The lowest form of vehicular homicide is at least 2 or 3 years in jail, a piece. Right. And you can sit here and a judge can, I'll also spend half of that, whatever. But you must take your sorry butt to jail. And the fact that he does not do that is a problem that I have. I could care less about anything else, black, white, whatever. The kid didn't go to jail. I got an issue with that.
I could dig it. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. I don't really think there's nothing more that needs to be said to that, because that's kind of what my deal is. The fact of the matter is, affluenza, whatever it is that you want to call it, I think it is so incredibly insulting. Thank you, by the way, Joey. I see that you have signed that petition, and I see your comments out there. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought when I saw that note. But affluent, the whole fact of having a word to describe being a spoiled little rich kid who's not going to see consequences because the law in the defense's mind says that you didn't know any better, that to me is the biggest load of crap I've ever seen in my life. Ain't no ass stepping with Marcus J. Joy is commenting, says that she taught in high school here locally, and she knows the difference between a good hug and a bad hug. She says that the BS in this last case is crazy, and as I stated before, she signed the petition against Chief Keef that Jackie says that we had on earlier talked about. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. We went way over with that, and we're running out of show, so we're going to take our final break of the night. We're going to close out with our rants and our closings. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. with the crew, and yours truly. Be back in a minute. This is Marcus J. of Legacy Internet Radio, and this segment of our show is sponsored by the Doctor of Optometry.